of Indonesia. Hi everybody, I'm your host Stephen Michael, along with my partner, ex-world champion Jonathan Jones of Wales, and we greet you here in lovely Indonesia, just north of the equator on a spectacular warm day, kicking off our 39th year of the UIM Formula 1 H2O Powerboat Racing Tour. Now the whole country of Indonesia has come out and embraced. We backed everything up, and now everything is all in one day. We had qualifying about 8 o'clock. Quite dramatic, and it became a sprint race. So we're running 2 sprint races in a row. And right from the start, there was drama on the right of your screen. As you can see, the boat and the second in the lineup, that's Sean Torrente in boat number 1. He is the defending world champion. And later, when this race ended, the official said he jumped the start and he was penalized a lap. So as Torrente was fighting with Bartek Marszalek, right there, number 77 from Poland, looking for his first victory in his 50th start, Torrente and Bartek battled back and forth the whole time. Torrente got to within 2 seconds, and then we had disaster hit just 3 laps from the end, and there you can see the driver from Holland going over as Ferdinand Zanderbergen went over on the right corner as the driver found himself crashing out of the race for the second time in 2 straight races. And on the restart, what a great play and a maneuver by Torrente. He took the inside route, and he found himself a way to get around the leader, Bartek Marszalek. And at the end, Torrente crossed the line 4 seconds ahead, thinking that he had won this race. And then he found out later, in dramatic fashion, the officials threw out that lap because they said intimidated. And as you can see, some of the dignitaries that are here, to the left of your screen is the H2O president, that's Nicolo de San Germano, and the gentleman in the dark outfit is actually Joko Widodo, who is the president of the Republic of Indonesia, who was flown in with a huge entourage, and he came in from Jakarta earlier in the day, and he's having a great time. We've had air shows, we've had all sorts of wonderful festivities on the water, off the water, and the hundreds of thousands of fans that have come here today. Here you can see the parade route as the president did arrive, and a lot of fanfare, all sorts of excitement. And more importantly, though, the fans are getting a full array of interesting things happening around the day. There you see Nicolo San Germano talking to some of the ministers. There were 8 ministers here earlier yesterday, and they came back, of course, with the president being here. Well, let's talk about the course description, Jonathan, as the boats are coming out. The parade lap is just beginning, and we're excited to go 18 laps of racing, race number 2 this afternoon.
Yeah, the course very different this afternoon to what it was earlier today. It was a really technical circuit with lots of right. Left-hander just further along than that, and then we turn back out on ourselves and come down the long straight about 800 or 900 meters into the far end of the circuit, and that's basically what we're going to be doing here today, mainly because the normal circuit that we were destined to run, there's too many big rollers which are coming in from the far side of the lake, and it makes these boats almost uncontrollable to drive. So another circuit, still quite technical, and it's going to be very, very demanding for these 20 drivers that are out here today.
100,000 tickets were up for grabs. They were gone in 23 minutes. That just shows you how excited everybody is, not only in Sumatra but the other islands. The whole country of Indonesia has grasped this sport by their bosom, and they just love what they're seeing here this afternoon. The weather can't be any more perfect. The wind's kicking up a little bit, and as you said, this course originally was set up. The fans, they're loving the action. We had the air show going on. We had 6 airplanes that were going through all sorts of acrobatic maneuvers. They were doing flowers, they were doing 360s, they were doing loops, and they were coming at each other at low altitude, and the fans were just hanging on for dear life, loving to watch the sky show, as you can see him come down, and as well as things on the water. So in the air, in the water, and on the ground, we've had a 3-tiered display of fun this afternoon, Jonathan. Race number 2 in.
Yep, and we ain't seen anything yet, Steve, as we pick up Nicolo de San Germano there, introducing Marit Stromo. You can see the only lady that we have racing in Formula 1 on the left of Nicolo, amongst all the other drivers, and been introduced to the president, and it's a great event here, Steve, isn't it? I mean, we've had so much going on for the last 2 or 3 days. I mean, Indonesia have really done the world of powerboat racing a tremendous honour by putting on this event here, and let's hope we can come back for many years to come.
Yeah, and you had a chance to see the president along with Nicolo saying hello and meeting some of the drivers, including Bartek Marszalek, the driver from Poland, who did pick up his first victory this morning, and he's over the moon. Let me tell you, he's so excited. He is time that he has won a race. Tell you what, he ended the year in a flurry with 2 back-to-back podiums. He finished 3rd and finished 2nd in Sharjah. You could just feel the momentum coming for Bartek Marszalek with the Strumoid team racing.
Yeah, he's been on it all weekend, really, Steve, hasn't he? He got that pole position, which meant so much, because coming off the start pontoon, he had a blinding start. Got into the first turn by just ahead of Sean Torrente, the Abu Dhabi driver, and he just seemed to be pulling away. He was 4 seconds up within a lap, and he held that gap until we had that accident with Zandbergen there. And of course, there was a complete restart then, and he just seemed to lose out a little bit on Torrente. But of course, at the end of the race meant that Bartek Marszalek from Poland won that race. But to be honest, up until the stop 3 laps from the end, I mean, he just dominated the entire event, so he deserved to win that first race, and he's on a bit of a roll at the moment, Steve.
Jonathan, I'll tell you what, you can notice in the last 5 minutes, boy, I'll tell you, the wind is kicking up, and you're starting to get a lot of white caps. Tell you what, 20 drivers, 12 different nations, 4 different continents have come here. Let's take a look at the starting lineup. Bartek Marszalek came from 18th up to 7th. He had a great run in race number 2. Jonas Andersen struggling with stomach pains. He was having a mount, and he's a spectator this afternoon, and it shouldn't be that way because he's quite a driver.
Yeah, he's been so unfortunate this weekend in that they've had some technical problems there, which they've been unable to sort out. So unfortunately, he's going to have to sit on the bank and watch the race, which I'm sure he's not too happy about.
As we get ready to line the drivers up, they finished their parade lap. They're circling around. Interesting thing about some facts here, Jonathan. I'll tell you what, this is the first time we've been here in Indonesia. The last race in Southeast Asia, which encompasses 11 countries in this most populous area of the world, was round number 3 in Singapore back in 2005. So it's been 18 years since this tour has been to Southeast Asia. And in the 39-year history of the sport, this is only the 7th. So it's not only us hanging on to cardboard and other bits to help block out our screen this afternoon with our papers flying, but the buoys are also taking a toll. And I don't know what the officials can do about this. Right now, it's looks like it's a bit of unorganized mayhem out there with this water condition. Yeah,
you can see the Osprey, the rescue people that set the circuit. I mean, it's as much as they can do to hang on.
It's only getting worse right now, Jonathan, which is a shame.
Yeah, in our broadcasting station, it's really rattling around here. We've got the wind blowing everything in every direction as we hang on to see what's going to happen out here with the race this afternoon.
Luis Ribeiro, he's the UIM official. He is the race director. He helps make all the decisions. And obviously he's got a tough one to make right now when you've got so many people. A lot of people have flown in from various islands of Indonesia. This is a country that's the 3rd largest population of any country in the world. And everybody's been talking about this national news for at least 2 months. Everybody's ready and geared up for a great race this afternoon. And when they go off, then we go racing. So we're far from that, though. As you can see, the Osprey rescue team is dragging around some of these buoys trying to set them. But again, those lines are so long, Jonathan, they're going to just keep moving.
Yeah, and just to give you an idea, you can see these boats head on now. The cockpit is...
The 30-second board comes up. And now the drivers focus in on what they have to do. You got to get a jackrabbit start. You want to get the whole shot down to the commitment buoys. 1 row of lights is on. And here we go. We hold our breath. And the 2nd row, the 3rd row is coming on, and they're underway, and they explode away from the dock, and they come off, and they head out down across the commitment buoy about 450 meters. as they go racing down toward the commitment buoy, and they'll circle around. And remember, the lineup is how they finished race number 1 as they tiptoe their way in these tough conditions out here. And as they circle around and they come down, the green flag is out, whistles being sounded as they slide through the commitment buoy, heading down in toward turn number 8 and 9 in the old circuit. This is the first of 18 laps, Jonathan, as we go off from this crescent moon-shaped circuit. This is something new. And here goes Bartek Marszalek, your leader, out in front, and moving up and challenging in that second place is Team Abu Dhabi driver, pushing hard, and it is Thani Al-Qemzi, who started down in that 6th spot. He had pushed his way toward the front.
And Steve, the boats are jumping around all over the place with those rollers coming in from the far side. They just are hanging on for grim death as they complete their first lap. But out in the front, is it changing? Is Thani Al-Qemzi? Look at the conditions out there. These are certainly not perfect for Formula One racing. And you can see there Bartek Marszalek, all of a sudden he was leading the race and the conditions have got so bad, he's now falling way back in the field. And the guy that's taken the lead is a number 7 boat. That's Peter Moran, Team CTIC China. My goodness, these conditions are almost undrivable. They've got to be watching that they don't nosedive these boats in this lap.
Peter Moran, who started in the 4th position, Rouen in France, where there's ugly conditions and boat traffic in those old traditional 24-hour races. So I think he's quite at home at these tough conditions. And Thani Al-Qemzi trying to stay right up there with him. So Bartek Marszalek led that first lap, but right now it's Thani Al-Qemzi trying to close up and get past Peter Moran. But Peter Moran, as we talked about, is used to these tough conditions, and around he goes, and they continue to move, but they're only going about 15%, 20%. Look at that, Jonathan. Some drivers are almost coming to a complete stop. These conditions are just so terrible. The drivers are trying to stay up, and you see Peter Moran almost launched the boat, teetering on the edge of disaster, somehow saved it as he almost stalled it completely, putting it up on its tail, and was able to gather it back up again.
Totally impossible, Steve. I mean, they're down from 140 odd mile an hour going down that back straight to probably 30, 35 mile an hour as they hang on for grim death trying to get around that circuit. And a lot of them, did you see that boat there? That is Ben Jelf, I believe. The entire boat almost sunk as he tried to get his way around the circuit. You can see the Dubai boat there. Did you see the water coming over the front?
Eric Stark, the driver from Sweden, who started this race in 3rd place, he literally submarined it. Oh, what a shame. Drivers are already dropping out. They're going, this is not going to work. It's not manageable. And on the replay, you can see Eric Stark, who totally submarined the boat yesterday. And behind him, you can see one of the Maverick racing boats go up, and there's Stark again as he's trying to show off his prowess of driving the boat into the water. Real shame for these 100,000 plus fans who have come here for race number 2. Now, we ran the first race of the day, which was fantastic, but here in race number 2, it's just doesn't seem to be able to work today.
Yeah, but Bartek Marszalek, the Polish driver, he's still out there, Steve. He's hanging on and he's thinking, hang on a minute, if they're going to call this race, I want to make sure that I'm in the lead boat, because he may get some points for competing out here this afternoon, picking up Jonas Anderson there, 2-time world champion, and my goodness, I cannot believe what they must be going through around the circuit, Steve. I mean,
we've done this before, Jonathan. We had this problem in St. Petersburg years ago in Russia, and in Istanbul in Turkey years ago, where we did get the race in, but these conditions are tough. There's still a green flag out there, so some drivers are giving up the ghost, including the world champion Sean Trenti in that boat number 1 you see in the distance in the background. And it looked like the young driver from the Netherlands got out and on the water, Ferdinand Zandbergen, and he's calling it quits. So slowly but surely these drivers are saying enough is enough, and Kale Vipo is parking his boat. As you look out and you see the CTIC China leader out there, that's Peter Moran from Rouen, France. He's taken over the number 1 spot because his ex-father-in-law Philippe Shep, a three-time world champion, went out in glory when he won his final race ever of his career back in December in Sharjah, and had a Cinderella season, wrapped things up, and then retired and turned the reins of his #1 boat over to Peter Morin, who is out there. There's Philippe Shep. There's the three-time world champion, who has got his first win 10 years ago in Kiev, Jonathan, in the 2012 series, but that was a match.
It looks like it's pretty dangerous. Somebody could get hurt, and it's going to be interesting to see what the UIM officials decide. That's the world governing body. Luis Ribeiro, who's the race controller for this event. At the moment, I can still see the green flag is out there, but for how much longer, only time will tell.
Well, as we get a chance to take a look at Peter Morin, the driver, and now they're showing the checkered flag. That's going to be it. That was a great try, and they did their best. The drivers thought, well, maybe we can do this. And after about 1.5 laps, they go, yipes, this is not going to work. Alexandre Bourgault, by the way, in the number 74 machine, the driver from the Maverick team, he hung in there. He said, I'm not giving up. He was out there in second place, the highest he's ever had. Thani Al-Qemzi stayed out a long time, too. And most everybody else has called it quits. And that pretty well shuts down the action for race number 2.
And you could just see there, you could see Peter Morin almost nosediving that boat as he tries to find his way around the circuit. Came off one of those rollers, came off the top of it, and actually the boat started almost being like a submarine as he tried to make his way around the circuit.
Team Abu Dhabi is trying to pull away and easily head down into turn number 9. That was the move of the day, and Sean Torrente, your three-time world champion for Team Abu Dhabi. And Sean Torrente picks up his 12th career victory and leads this championship, and what a great day for Bartek Marszalek. He'll finish up 4 seconds behind. Well, there you have it. Fantastic first event, yes. And let's go to the podium now. There's Bartek Marszalek of Poland, #1 this afternoon. Fantastic day for him, and as I said, his 50th race start in his 11th year. Bartek Marszalek, what a Cinderella story for him coming back, and boy, he's been strong the last couple of races, Jonathan. And I'll tell you what, you look out on the right, there's Nicola de Saint-Germano, who is the founder and creator of H2O Racing, and then of course next to him, the president of the Republic of Indonesia, Joko Widodo, and the rest of the dignitaries that are here. But there you see Eric Stark on the right, and on the left is two-time world champion Sami Celio with the Sharjah team. So all eyes glued on the driver, Bartek Marszalek from Poland, and the fans loved it. It was a great day of racing. Too bad we couldn't get heat number 2 in all the way, but we've turned a page in our history of the sport with Bartek picking up his first victory.
Yeah, it's great to see that. I mean, he's been knocking on the door for such a long time now. As I said earlier, he's been a midfield runner and just seems to have had everything dialed in over the last 2 or 3 races. He's got that new boat. He's got a lot of confidence now. He knows he's up for the job, and he's driving superbly, and he's going to be the benchmark going forward, Steve, because at the moment he's really hot to trot when he's out there on the water.
Yeah, you know, he went through a long period of time as we watched the fireworks display going off, and fans love that in this region of the world.